Sea Divers! It is Thursday, July 23rd, 2020, and my name's Nicole. I'm your social media pro, and we have Sam Fretz. He is our lobster pro, and he's the manager at our Pompano store. And we have an exciting presentation for you tonight. First of all, let's check in. Let's see how everybody's doing. Everybody, if you're online, give us a thumbs up, give us a smiley face, or give us a little heart emoji. In the comments, write a little bit. Let us know that you're there. Tell us where you're listening in from. Oh, hey, Zach. All right, so let us know where you're listening in from. Are you here in South Florida, or are you somewhere else in the world? We'd like to know if you're listening in. Awesome, guys. So we're just checking in. Have you been diving this summer? Sam, have you been?
Almost every day now. The water's been so warm, 85 degrees.
Wow, it is time to get out there, isn't it? So, guys, if you want to get out diving, give us a call. We can get you on a boat or take you out on the shore and get you out there exploring the reefs and the wrecks here in South Florida. So, there's a couple of things that we're going to housekeeping. If you want to ask a question tonight, go ahead and type it in the comments, and we will try and answer as best as we can. Or if we don't have that information, we'll get back to you on that. Also, if you like the presentation, give it a thumbs up. Let us know that you're enjoying this presentation. And again, enjoy, and hopefully you guys learn a lot. Look at all the people coming in from Fort Pierce, Tampa, Palm Beach, Jupiter, Jacksonville. Lobsters! Woo!
It's the time.
All right, so tonight is going to be about lobsters, spiny lobsters, and we've got some great stuff prepared.
We got a lot of things planned out.
All right, so
I'm trying to catch lobsters right now.
All right, so let's get to it. All right, let's see. Okay, this is the tips and tricks to hunting the Florida lobster. And like I said, this is Sam Fretz and Nicole. I am Nicole, and I am going to help Sam out with today's presentation. All right, let's see. All right, so what we're going to cover tonight, we're going to give you a little bit of lobster information, what the lobster season is here in Florida, the gear that you're needing to catch lobsters, the trading that's needed, hunting and actually catching lobsters, protecting the reef, and what do you do with those lobsters back at the docks. So let's get into it. A couple of things. If you don't know, lobsters here in Florida, they don't have claws.
At all. It's the best part.
So they're not like your friends up in Maine. Those spiny lobsters do not have claws like the Maine lobsters do. So they have spines. So you do have to wear gloves to protect those hands.
And we'll talk about that too. We'll get into that for sure.
So don't have to worry about claws, but you have to worry about the spines. A couple of things, if you want to know a little bit about their life history, they hatch from eggs after 4 weeks, and they actually are free swimmers, little larvae that swim around. And then at 1 year old, they'll settle into algae and the seagrass beds and mangroves in the area. And they'll get really, they'll get big after several molts, and then they'll make their way into the ocean on the reefs, into like holes like you're seeing in this picture here.
Start heading up north.
Yeah. And, lobsters range in all different types of areas. They're also down in the Caribbean. So it's the same lobster that you're seeing down in the Caribbean that you see up here and also up north. So the lobsters do grow. They use a thing called molting, and that's what they do. They shed the exoskeleton, and that's how they grow. So when they shed, it's like, it looks like the lobster just like pretty much peeled its skin off, and it's nice and soft. So it's actually
super soft.
Yeah, so super soft. So it's actually hard for them to get away from predators when it's soft, because they're, is exposed. So if you see, sometimes you're out on the reefs, you might see like a whole lobster, and you're like, oh, somebody killed this lobster. But really, it's that shedding of their exoskeleton that you're looking at. What do lobsters eat? Most of their diet consists of mollusk or dead animals. I know that I've seen you put like lionfish.
Yeah, they'll feed the little dead lionfish. You catch one, you put it right in front of them, and they'll come right out of the hole too.
There you go. There's a little tip for you. And what preys on a lobster? Anything from a shark, like a nurse shark, octopus, groupers, and even sea turtles. If you guys ever want to give up any of your lobsters that you catch, I know the guys up at Gumbo Limbo love to feed their sea turtles lobsters. The loggerheads like to eat lobsters. So they're a nocturnal species. So what does that mean? They like to play at night, right? So they're out crawling around at night, and then during the day they take cover inside holes. So probably the best time to hunt a lobster is at night, right, Sam?
Yeah, night, morning. That's the best. Anytime it's dark, it's the best time to get out, pretty much.
And after a storm, what do?
They move. They start moving in. Usually it's shallow too. Yeah,
nice and shallow. And you sometimes we'll see like lobsters walking across the sand. So it's pretty cool. You can really limit out when they do that. Okay, what is a male versus a female? Well, our good friend Chiefy, hey Chiefy, hopefully you're listening. He wrote this awesome book called Catching the Bugs. So everybody see that? We have this book available at 4C Scuba Centers. You can go online and get it, or you can come into the store. Well, we use these photos from Chiefy's book talking about a male versus a female. So if you see in the pictures here, we have the male is pretty much a bare underbelly here. This is bare. And then the female has these little swimmerettes, and that's used along with their legs to aerate the eggs. So if you look at that picture on the left-hand side there, you see that red coloration that's in between here. Those are those eggs. So guys, if you catch a lobster and you flip them over and they have those little red berry-looking eggs, it's off limits. You cannot take an egg-bearing lobster. Also, if you flip a lobster over and you notice like a black tar patch, that is also an indication it's a female. The male puts that on the female, and it's part of the reproductive cycle. Okay. All right, so Sam, lobster season. Why are we giving this presentation? Because what's happening next week?
Mini season starts on Wednesday to Thursday. So, and then the regular season, of course, starts on the 6th to the 31st of March.
Yep. So mini season was designed so that like the recreational divers can go out and the commercial divers cannot put their traps down. So you get 2 days at the end of July. It's the last Wednesday and Thursday every year. And there are limits for the divers per the area. So like if you go down the Keys, it's only 6 during mini season, right?
Not many. Up here it's 12. So
up here's 12. So you actually get 12 per day per diver. So that's why a lot of people like to stay up here in the Broward County and the Palm Beach County to go lobstering. Regular season, like Sam said, starts August 6th and it goes through March 31st. And during regular season, it's 6 per day, right?
It's a long season. It's a nice long season.
Yeah. So don't worry if you can't get out because you're stuck at work Wednesday and Thursday next week. We'll get you out for regular season. Also, you have to have a license from the Florida Fish and Wildlife. So FWC, there's that license right there. Can everybody see that?
Sure.
Hold it up. There it is. Okay, so how do you get a license? Well, all you got to do is you can go online and apply for the license, and you just pay right there. But there is a catch. You get a saltwater license and a
lobster
stamp.
Yep.
The enhancement stamp. So you got to make sure that not just the saltwater license, but the lobster permit on top of that to make sure that you get the right type of license. All right, and those are usually good for a year.
You can do a year, 5 year, even a lifetime.
Ooh, lifetime.
This one is a 5 year.
Sam's a 5 year. He's not
lifetime,
a lifer.
Nah, not yet.
All right, so let's see, where are we? Okay, measuring your lobsters. That's another important rule to know because the FWC guys, they are out there. They're going to be patrolling, especially during mini season. So you want to make sure that you're measuring those lobsters, and you have to land them whole. Meaning you have to bring that whole entire lobster back to the dock. You can't just bring the tails. So, Sam, can you explain how to measure a lobster?
Well, if you have a lobster, once you snare it and everything else, we can go over that in a little bit. Hope everybody can see this. There we go.
Here, hold on.
You have the horns, pretty much the lobster right here, the carapace, and the tail. Of course, this one is going to be really small. This one's definitely not going to be legal at all. But you want to, if you can see it, put the gauge right between the horns, and if it's legal, it would actually go hit the carapace without hitting the tail. If it goes below this, like it is right here, this one, of course, is really small. Really easy. It clips right on between the horns, and you can see if it's legal or not. Really easy. You can get these. There's plastic ones. This one's a really thick one at all, to the gauges. You definitely want to keep these. You can put this on your snare, tickle stick, even put it on a lanyard around you. So it's up to you where you want to keep it, but definitely want to measure everything underwater.
So that's right. So guys, you have to make sure that you measure your lobsters underwater, and it's probably good to measure them back on the boat because, you know,
just to make sure.
Sometimes people are a little worried about
excited,
yeah, you're really excited underwater. So, or it's a little wiggly. So, and what's the number, the measuring?
3 inches.
3 inches. 3 inches. Okay, so make sure that you got that correct, and don't just makeshift one of these things, because the guys, the FWC officers, they come around and they make sure to measure every single lobster.
You have a high chance of actually getting pulled over. They do check a lot of people randomly coming through the port. So.
Yep. Awesome. So that's how you measure a lobster. All right, and the gear. So I'm actually going to let Sam take over, because Sam is the expert. He knows exactly what kind of gear to catch the lobsters. So Sam, take it away.
So beginning, we're just going to go through the basic gear and keep on going what you need and what you don't need, or as options. So let's go through that.
And again, guys, if you have any questions, write them in the comments.
So most people start off, if you want, is with the tickle stick and the net. I mean, that's where I started off, but you can go to the snare later. But tickle stick and net is pretty much go-to. You can get the measuring stick, snare. I mean, let's measure stick right to here and clip it on there. So, and you can't miss without this. So that's all you do is tickle it out, net it, and you're good to go. Especially at nighttime, that's all you need is the net. So that's definitely a starting. If you upgrade is to the snare here, that's what I like using. Pretty easy. And if you go on YouTube videos and everything else too, there's a lot of them out there actually how to catch them. Of course, if you have come into the shop or show you how to catch them too, the best way of using these. So that's all it does is a mechanism. It pulls back and it closes looper. See it?
So actually, let's do a demo. Here's the backside of the lobster. So you're going to tickle them out and snare it just like that. Right.
From there, you can actually pull it down, loosen it up, and you have the lobster. And then from here, if you actually have the bags, there's a lot of different bags, but say that the basic lobster hotel, you have the lobster hotel, you actually want to put the tail in first, and it goes right in. If you try to do with this, the antennas, they're not going to let you in. So tail in first. And then while we're here with bags, there's a lot of basic bags. Of course, it's the lobster hotel, mesh on one side, canvas on the other. It's got the little clip. And of course, you know, if it's dragging, you have the old school way of throwing the golf ball inside here. And this way you can actually just stick it back in here. So it's actually a little more streamlined. It's not going to actually fall off. A couple other bags that you can actually look at if you want is they're all mesh around here with the lobster hotel. This is a preference. A lot of people, it's really what you like. I don't like getting my legs tore up, so at least I always get the canvas on one side or both sides, like this one too. And some of the newer ones that actually have these clips on both sides. So while you're actually diving, it's not dragging and scraping your legs if you're not wearing a wetsuit like I do. The water's 85. A lot of people do wear some kind of skins or wetsuit just to protect you right now, especially if you're going to be, you know, touching like the grounds. You might run into some fire cold. There's a lot out there. So if you get actually, if it bothers you, I would definitely wear a skin, wetsuit, or something. The water is warm, so you don't want to overheat. Got a couple of little bags real quick we'll go over. Little wire bags. Basic, these are real small. Inexpensive too, all mesh. So I would definitely come in, get a variety, ask us which ones you like. If you have a preference, we probably have that for you here too.
Question, Sam. Talk about the zipper and why that's important.
Ah, the zipper, yes. Well, the zipper, there's zippers in different ways. Like this one is all on the bottom. You want to make sure, so say after you do a dive, you're loading that lobster in. And now to get it, open it up, that's all you do is open it up and you dump it all out. You're not going to get the lobster out here. But a key thing is to make sure you zip this back up. There's so many people I've actually seen going back in the water and they come up and they said they were just throwing lobsters in, and they have nothing because of, guess what? They forgot to zip it up. So always remember to zip this thing back up. And there's actually some zippers that are on the side too. So the main thing is just an easy way of getting it out. It's a good question, but remember, zip that thing up always. So, all right, and then like I said, we're talking about the snare. You have the tickle stick. You actually have this other one that we're not actually selling is the dog snare. So it's actually on a tickle stick. So you can actually tickle your lobster back out. And then that's all you do is the dog snare. It goes over and you pull it. Just like catching I guess if the dog gets straight and everything else, people out there rescue a dog, that's how they get it. So when the lobster moves around, it just keeps it tight. That's called a dog snare. We have these here at the shop now too. He's actually made local from the skid around here too, so you're always helping out local too. It's got a little rope on it, pretty nice.
Okay, Sam, here's a question that's coming in. What happens if your lobster, you tickle it out, but it hides back in that hole? What's the best way to kind of get it back out? Should you reach in with your hands?
Most people I would say no, because you never know what's inside there. There could be crabs, could be eels. So most people that have, you should always say, I'll grab it and everything else. They probably haven't been bitten. I actually have been bitten one time because my fault too. I looked inside, thought there was nothing in there, and the eel was actually up top. A little one, a little spotty, or came and bit it. Pretty much that's the last time I tried to put my hand in the hole. So always you can do that's why it's good about sometimes having a tickle stick is that you can actually sit back down and wiggle it actually too. Because you have the fiberglass tickle stick that a lot of people buy, but it doesn't have, it's just straight fiberglass. If you actually have the tickle stick that has a little bend in it, you can actually stick it in a hole and actually, without even banging it, you just twist it like this, and it actually gets them to come out. That's a little trick that a lot of people don't use. They try to bang and knock it out. Just kind of twist it back and forth, and that thing will actually start boiling and just come out real slow. Main thing is you don't want to hit it. Just kind of slowly tickle out or just twist it.
And what part are they hitting when you're doing that?
You're hitting the back of it pretty much. You're just kind of tapping it out because when they go back, they think they're hitting the back of the wall. So that's all you do is they tap it out. So they think they're actually hitting the back of the wall or something on the back of the coral. So that's all you do is tickling them out like this. And they're probably getting irritated. I don't know. So they're probably getting irritated, so they're going to come right out. So that's why most people do a tickle stick and net. You actually do get a lot. It's just that with the snare, you can use it with the snare to tickle it out. You close it. You can use it, but it's not as small. So with the tickle stick and net, you actually do sometimes get more, but it just takes longer. The snare is a lot easier, less thing to carry. One less thing to to lose and something. But definitely anything you use, I would definitely put a clip on it, some kind of clip. When you jump in the water, clip everything off. When you come up, clip everything off. If not, it's good for us because after mini season, it's treasure hunting out there. There's going to be stuff all over the place because people just jump in, holding it and everything else, but the best thing to do is get some clips. If they're not expensive, by the time you spend this and a clip, you're actually going to save it instead of buying 2 of these.
Sam, on that lobster loop, can you help us with managing to keep the loop a loop? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Keep the loop a loop.
It is a hard one too. The main thing is that actually, if you want to keep a nice loop, don't keep it stored up like this. Everybody stores it up like this, and then actually what happens is it pushes the whole lobster like this and messes it up. So there's things that people do is actually get they get a soda can or actually some kind of bottle and leave it overnight and always keep it tight and like that. That's not a good idea. But mainly just don't keep it locked in like this.
All right, guys, so if you want to get one of these lobster loops, I'm going to clue you in right now. We're going to give one away at the end of this presentation. So the best way to get in on our raffle, go to www.force-e.com, go to the event page, and register on the Eventbrite for tonight's presentation, and your name will be in that database, and I'm going to do a random name picker at the end, and you could potentially win the Lobster Looper. Woohoo!
Best thing out there.
All right. So what else do we have, Sam?
Well, when you first get in the water, you always want to make sure, you can't carry everything. It's going to be like Christmas if you try to carry the net, tickle sticks, snare, everything else known to man. And some people do. It's not going to help you. So you at least get a plan of what you're going to use and what you're going to go down there. One thing I would definitely say is the key thing to carry is a light, like any kind of light. Even people say it's the daytime. Well, you're looking at holes. Lobsters are in holes. So if you're looking at a hole, you definitely need some kind of flashlight. This is a big blue. You have a lot of different other ones. This one's 1200 lumens, easy to use. You can even use it on a wrist guard here to put it on there so you can actually have hands-free. There is one that we sell by UK. It's a mini Q40 light that actually goes on your mats. So even at night, this is definitely at nighttime. You can actually use everything, use a tickle stick, and actually have it right here. Some people even use it on your tickle stick. You can mount it on your tickle stick. But it does help. I've had mine for a long time, but I would say definitely go for a light. We have the Tovatex. If you want to go like a little cheaper one, Princeton Tech, lifetime warranty, you can't beat it. This is definitely something 450 lumens for the daytime. You just want a light. if you have a light, I can follow right behind you and probably catch most of the early ones that you're missing just because I can actually see in the hole. Some of them are so tucked in, especially when the season gets a little later. It's they get more spooked. They see a diver, they go in the hole real quick. So one thing is, anytime you see a lobster, slow everything down. Maybe release a little bit of air. Just go real nice and slow. Find different holes we can get into. Everybody rushes in every time. You don't need to do that. That's where the lobster's going to go. They get spooked and go right in. Go nice and slow. Find different things. If you have a team, that's the best way to do it. Nicole, myself, she's actually one of my best. Like she can find a lot of lobsters too. I might be looking. She's finding lobster. She keeps me busy under the water for sure.
So that's a great point. Shouldn't they just hire us to be their dive guides during
They should.
lobster
if you want
season?
some lobster, we're here for you.
All right. What other items do you need?
If you try to see your hands here, if you try to actually grab these lobsters, they got little like horns. They have sharp the whole body is just full of like sharp little pokey things. That's all it is. So if you try to grab that with a hand, you're gonna tear it all up. So glove wise, of course you have like the all Kevlar gloves by Bear. You can probably grab lobsters all year long and never fall apart, but they are a little harder. You have the bug grabbers that have Kevlar here, but the ones that I started liking now using is the Nordic gloves, thick, heavy-duty gloves, anything else too. But when you wear them, they actually feel like you're actually not wearing any gloves at all. They fit nice and smooth here. You can actually, for people that actually do spearfish, you can actually use your gun and everything else, or pole spear catching lionfish. I know a lot of people are going out there catching lionfish. So you definitely want to use that. And then if you are going out to lionfish, because you're looking in holes for lobstering anyways, you might as well get a pole spear. And some people have different ones. This one is like, there's all different ones, but you can get a pole spear. But a good thing is actually, if you want your lionfish and lobstering, you can actually use a zookeeper. I don't know how many you can get in there, especially if you get your big one, but you can get lionfish and lobsters in there. So you actually, instead of 2 bags, you can actually use just one. So if you're only going out there and trying to get 2 lobsters and a couple of lionfish for dinner, that's probably another option you can do instead of a bag. And then for nighttime divers and everything else too, you always make sure if you're using a flag, of course, if you're on a boat, they're going to have probably glow sticks that are going to be on like your flags and everything else too. But you want glow sticks on your gear is the key. I've actually almost lost one of the bags. I actually somehow unclipped and I had a glow stick on your bag. So I actually backtracked and everything else and found it 20 feet behind me. But the only way that I found it is actually a glow stick. So it's good to actually sometimes put glow sticks or any lights that Princeton Tech has. There's actually strobe ones that we sell and everything else too that actually battery operated. They're going to last longer than a glow stick instead of just buying glow sticks nonstop. That you actually put it on some of your gear, even if you're doing it at nighttime. Even tickle stick, your net, you can't hurt it at all because you at least guarantee to come back with all your stuff you bought. And that's pretty much about gear. There's probably a lot more out there too, but main thing is that, try to clip your gear on. If you don't have gear, you can come and ask us questions. We can try to direct you to a place that, if you're actually just a beginner or a pro, maybe some gear you're missing. And I guess we're going to talk about the next step is training.
All right, guys. So talking about training and how to hunt and catch lobsters. Biggest thing, guys, that we see is a lot of people get really excited and they want to go do mini season. But yet it might be that they haven't dove in a year, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 10. Yes, we have seen it, guys. So if you're that diver, the best option is to make sure to service your gear, okay? If it's been a while since you've used it, and also to maybe take a refresher course.
And that doesn't take long. You can do pool or even hire a guide, just take you out for a little bit just to make sure that your gear is actually up to par if it has been serviced. Or
or to get familiar with it.
Yeah,
again.
Exactly. And a little bit more comfortable too. Don't go right into it right away.
Yeah, because you never know how your buoyancy is going to be working out, and you want to make sure that you're staying off that reef and you're not hurting yourself. I also think that it's good to go and talk to a doctor and just make sure that everything's working. You're good to go for diving.
Especially if it's been a while.
Yeah, especially if it's been a while. A lot of people don't realize that, a lot of the injuries that occur during mini season is actually heart attacks.
Mm-hmm. It's probably the number one.
Yeah. So if you actually go to the Divers Alert Network, Dan, and look at the statistics, it's usually heart attacks or it's boating strikes. So if that's the case, that means boaters are out there. They do not usually follow the rules like the dive boat captains do that are licensed. So you just have to be really, really aware of your surroundings. Always use a dive flag, right, Sam?
Yeah, always have a dive flag too.
And also on your boat, if you're using a private boat, you have to have a dive flag there too. A good thing to have on board is an air horn. So that way, if your buddy is in the water while you're up, you could be using that air horn to get someone's attention.
And you can even do the dive alerts now that you can actually put it on your BCs and inflator, and now use that as air horn too. So
yeah. So you just want to make sure you're always visible when you're back on the surface. So even using a safety sausage on top of using a dive flag.
Oh yeah, especially a windy day, it helps.
Yeah, because your head looks like a coconut floating on the surface. So we want to make sure you stay safe and happy during the mini season. Crazy chaos.
Yeah, and like Nicole said earlier too, if you do want to hire one of us too, we're always here for you. Even if it's just come in, ask suggestions, anything else. But if you actually want somebody to actually go out with you, show you how to catch lobsters, you're pretty much at least guaranteed to get home lobster. And any ones that we catch, you're going to take it home anyways.
Yeah. I actually don't eat lobster. I'm just really good at pointing them out. And Sam likes to catch them. And then we usually give them away to our parents.
Pretty much. Yeah. I don't eat them either. So, but my family loves them when they come back to town. So.
Yep. So that's going into hunting and catching. There's two differences. There's hunting a lobster and catching a lobster. So one thing to note, hunting a lobster, some of the things that you should be looking out for.
Well, it's the terrain. So, I mean, a lot of people just go jump in and then they come back with no lobster. You got to look for a little more terrain too. They like to hide in under little rocks and everything else too. Definitely not big openings because things that prey can come in, the groupers and all that stuff too. So if you're in one area and you don't see anything, maybe change your depth. I mean, right now, if you go shallow, you have a high chance of at least finding some. There's going to be a lot of pregnant ones out there, a lot of females with eggs, so you got to watch out that. Or smalls, a lot of smalls than like the shallows. But at least right now, the shallows are the place to go.
Ooh, that's a tip, you guys. And that's actually something interesting. I've noticed that if you see the reefs here in South Florida, there's like a front side to the reef, like a wall.
The main ledge.
Yeah, the main ledge. They're really not going to be on that main ledge. It's very, very rare.
Sometimes after a major storm, and it's the first day you're out there, it is, but they just stand there for protection. And then once the storm's over, then they pull out, maybe to the false ledge, low rocky structures.
Yeah, so the best thing to do is if you find that ledge, either go out to the west of it and find like the little islands that are out there, or go up on top and go almost to like the backside.
Yeah, and sometimes up top, even up top the ledge too. It just depends. Find a big brain coral. I mean, a lot of people have their honey holes. Their honey hole is probably a big brain coral in the middle of sand that no one knows about. But like the lobster move every night too. So they're walking in the sand. They find a big brain coral. Guess what? They're going to go right in there and stand. They're going to probably have a ton of them too. That's a honey hole to find.
And Sam mentioned that once you find a lobster, obviously you're most likely going to see these little antennas, right?
That's all you're going to see. Even if they're a little bit moving out, that's what you're looking for, antennas.
So what you're going to want to do is you're going to need to stop and evaluate how you're going to catch that lobster, depending on the equipment that you've decided to hunt with. And another tip that Sam has is to put if you have some lionfish.
Lionfish too. If
you have a little lionfish carcass, if you put it out there, they'll come out and start trying to feel off of it.
I think there was a couple years ago, Jeff from Riviera actually had a video of that too. It wasn't lobster season, but he grabbed a lionfish, put it out there, and cut a little bit, and they come right out too.
Mm-hmm. Also, is tapping the sand something that you use?
Yeah, sometimes that works too, disturbing the things around them a little bit. But as long as you keep the distance. If you actually out of season, you can actually find a lobster, stay off like 3 feet, and they're going to come right out and check you out too. So the best thing is take your time.
They're definitely, I've been teaching kids this summer, and it's been a lot of fun showing them the lobsters because they just come right out of the holes because they're not scared of us right now.
She has a little trick that she likes to use too, and that's and when she actually used to do that, I would never keep that lobster. So you should tickle them out, have them crawl in the hand. So if the lobster did that, I would let it go every time.
Something else that I wanted to mention is their antennas. So if you actually try to poke behind them, if that the lobster loop or the tickle stick, if their antenna hits the stick,
it's done.
It's done. It's all over with. The minute that they get their antennas on a stick or a looper, they feel that and they just right back into their holes.
And don't grab the antennas too. The antennas will snap right off. Same as a lizard has like the tail, the safety, the tail will come off the lizard. the same with the lobster. Don't grab their antennas because they're just gonna like break off, and then they'll have to actually take a while to grow again. So
well, and you know, it is a defense mechanism.
It is.
So for that lobster, if you end up not taking that lobster off the reef, that's one less antenna that they have for a defense mechanism. So we try to avoid pulling on those antennas.
Correct.
And the legs.
The legs, yeah.
The legs too. We don't want to pull the legs off because, like I said, they use those, especially the females, to aerate their eggs that are underneath their bodies.
You find lobsters with no legs, nothing else. It's a shame because they didn't check first and they're pregnant or something. That's why it's always good that we use a flashlight. You can actually check the hole to see if they actually see eggs. If eggs, leave them alone. Go to the next one.
Yeah. Awesome. And then, so that's about hunting them, right?
Yes.
What about catching them? That's a little bit of a more finer
skill. That's a skill.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we talked about the gear. Really, what Sam was talking about is creating the tickle stip or the looper so that it's like a barrier, so they think they're hitting the back of their cave area.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just really fine-tuning, finessing, getting that buoyancy correct. As you see in the picture in this PowerPoint, that's Sam catching a lobster with his looper. And so what he did was tap, 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 tap. As you can see that back end of that lobster, then you just get a whoop.
Snare, and once you got them, you have them.
Yep. Sometimes, I mean, I got really good at catching lobsters last season because my dad really doesn't get in the water anymore. And every time he comes to Florida, he says, "Give me lobsters." And so I kind of unfortunately became a good lobster hunter. So
it's a fun sport.
So what I do is my looper tends to get a little loose over time. Mm-hmm. And so what I've noticed is that when I do my pull and they wiggle a little bit on this part here, this starts to open up and then they get out of my looper. So what I've learned is to loop them and then go and grab them real quick.
And you can go right down the snare and grab it right away.
Yep. So, and if they're in the sand, I've also pushed them down into the sand and then grabbed them.
Or flip it upside down, actually, is a good way to do it, too.
Yeah. All right, so that's hunting and catching the lobsters. And let's talk about protecting the reef, okay? So, guys, we are big advocates here at 4C. We want to make sure that not only are you having fun catching lobsters and doing well at doing the capturing lobsters, but we want to protect the reef and yourself because your body can get injured while lobstering. So as you can see in this picture here, this diver here is off the reef. He's actually on the sand area there, and he's going after the lobster instead of being on top of the reef and laying his body down on top of those corals and the sea fans and the sea whips and the sponges. Guys, the biggest thing is that we want to make sure that we protect the reef for future generations to be able to use. So please, please, please use caution when lobstering. And just be careful if you are using one of those nets, when you bring it down on top of the lobster, grab the lobster and then bring the net up and you can twist the net. Yep. So it looks like this. So here's, want to hold my lobster for me? So here's the lobster, grab it, twist it, and then that way his little arms get stuck inside these the netting, and then you've got him, and then take it off the reef.
And most times they're going to go nuts anyways and tangle themselves.
Yep. So there he is. Unfortunately, when we went on Amazon, they gave us these lobsters, but they're not big enough for great demonstrations.
Spotted ones almost.
That actually comes to another question. Is that there are some other types of lobsters that are on the reef here. Are those legal, and can we take those?
You can. You have the spotted little lobsters. You have, what's the other one?
The slippers.
The slippers. You can catch those. I actually caught one, I think, when I was diving on Diversity. The other day I caught one, too, a nice size one.
And those are always in season?
They're always in season, yeah. There's no seasoning. So we actually have a couple that comes out here. They don't do anything else. They love catching lobsters. So off season, that's all they catch is the little spotted ones. A lot harder to catch, but at least it's a little challenge for them.
And there is no limit and there's no size limit either.
Yeah, right. Of course, it's eggs, too. If they have eggs, you should let them back always. So
awesome. Those slipper ones, they look like dinosaurs.
They do. They have it looks like a lobster with no head.
Awesome. All right, and then we are going to talk about back at the dock.
Yes, so the best part.
First of all, look at that crew back at the
lobster.
dock. There's Sam, myself, there's our lobster haul, and there's Captain Dave. And
Dave.
back at the dock is, again, like I said earlier, you have to land your lobster whole and bring it back to the dock whole. You cannot tail your lobster in the field. Yeah. And the reason why is FWC is going to come eventually. If you haven't had a visit from them, they will pull up in their boats and they will want to see all your lobster. And they want to be able to measure. So they need to have that carapace so that they can measure the 3 inches. So also back at the dock is when you can figure out how to tail them.
Tail them. We don't have anything live here, of course, but maybe once Lobsters open, we can actually show them how to do it too.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a Facebook live video out on the dive boat, and we'll show you how to tail one.
But of course, the first thing you always want to have gloves. It always lives. There is gloves you can use your own. There is actually the bright orange gloves, actually really designed, actually just using for the twisting. That's in the kits and everything else too. Kind of don't want to dive with them. They're kind of annoying. They're big, but you can actually grab them. But you can twist them like the whole lobster and everything else. We actually have the ones for debeining. We actually have these at the shop now if you don't want to use the antenna. So this makes it a little bit easier to clean, everything else too. Lobster debeining, so made easy. So we have these here at the shop, but that's all you do is make sure you devein it. You can twist it. You can actually use a knife or cut it out a little bit of meat so you don't lose a lot of it. And then you have the tail right there. Some people actually keep the whole head and all the intestines, all stuff for like soup or something, stew. I don't know, but there is people that
like lobster bits.
Yeah, they do ask for it all the time. Don't throw their heads away. So if you want to try it, I've never made it, but it's really good.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of great lobster recipes out there. And if you go to our website, we actually have a whole landing page. It's called Cooking the Local Catch. 4C joined forces with Oceans 234. Gosh, I can't talk. Oceans 234 in Deerfield Beach, and with Chiefy Matthew. He actually is our host for those, and we have a great recipe on lobsters in that series. So if you want to learn about that recipe, go to our website and click on that link, and you can get that recipe there. What's one of your favorites?
One of my favorites actually from my buddy Morgan from like New Orleans. So it's probably not the healthiest way, but catch a lobster. Usually the next day you can actually take the tail out from the body a little bit. Then you can put fresh pineapple in there. So we actually throw it in a grill or the oven. It's going to help steam. That's the healthy way. Then if you want unhealthy, you can get like whipping cream cheese a little bit. Put that up top with like cooked bacon. It keeps on going. And then bacon. And then you can do a lemon or lime and then wrap it in foil and then you cook that lobster. It's almost like steaming from the fresh pineapple and everything else too. So I don't even eat lobster, but if I cook it that way, I'll probably have one for sure. Everybody loves it that way. So that's the unhealthy. But anytime you cook with any kind of fruit under the lobster, it helps steams it. So it helps it from getting so hard too.
Awesome. And like I said earlier, these are not your main lobsters. So don't put the whole lobster in a pot, in a steam pot, and think you're going to get a main lobster for your dinner. That's not the way you're going to cook them. So, all righty. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and comment below. We'd love to answer if we didn't cover anything that you heard during this presentation. One thing
I actually thought of too, we actually have 4C has extended hours too. So I believe on Tuesday we're going to be open to 9. We might be here a little later too. And then also on Wednesday, 7 in the morning to 9 again. Of course, we'll be here a little later too, filling tanks here. And then Thursday morning, 7, then closing a basic hour, I think like 8 o'clock too. We might be here a little longer too, so.
Yeah, so if you need anything for mini season, go ahead and come in and see Sam, see the guys at any of our 3 locations. We are there to help you. Or you can write to us at info@force-e.com, and we'll answer any questions you might need to get you gear, get you some service, or get you some refresher courses before next week.
We're here for you.
Yep. And again, like we said, if you're not able to get out for mini season because maybe you're working, not a problem. You have the whole regular season to get out.
You do. You have so much time. So.
Yeah. So don't worry if you missed out. But again, we're here to help you with all your lobstering needs. All right. So what do you think? Should we see who's going to get this lobster loop?
Let's go for that.
All right. All right. Sam, maybe you should show off the lobster loop again while I get this queued up here. Tell them a little bit about this loop again and what they're going to win.
Probably can't go wrong with this at all. It has a little mechanism right here. Actually, you can unlock it if you never had a snare or anything else too. And if you never had a snare and you actually win this one, just come in and we'll show you how to use it properly too. It's got actually a little hole here to actually put like some kind of lanyard or something. Again, use a clip so you don't lose it.
Awesome. And also, if you are on our email list, if you get our rewards,
yes. So
right?
the free lobster gauge.
Yeah, starting tomorrow, the 24th. Yes. You guys are going to, if you are on our rewards list, you are going to get an email, and we're giving away one free plastic lobster gauge.
The yellow
plastic gauge. And if you want one of those, you got to come into the store and get it.
No purchase necessary.
All right, guys, I'm just loading everyone's name. Thank you for registering to let us know that you were going to be joining us tonight. And again, if you are the winner of this snare, we will have it at one of the 3 stores. So all you got to do is let me know which store you want to go to pick it up, and we'll have it ready for you for mini season. If you're not here locally, no problem. We can mail it to you. You just got to pay the shipping for that. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull up screen share, and here's the random name picker. So everybody who registered, your name is on our random name picker. Here it is. Okay, and let's see. Let's go like this. Oh, wait, so everyone can see. All right, there's everyone's name, and let's see who the winner is. So that green button, here we go. And the winner is Joseph Roberts.
Yeah,
Joseph, if you are online, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you're excited that you won the Lobster Looper tonight here on the Facebook Live. All righty, guys. Well, we thank you so much for tuning in. We enjoyed being able to give you the tips and tricks to getting ready for lobster mini and regular season. And again, come in and see any of us, and we'll give you and we'll give you more tips and tricks as well.
Yeah, we'll break it down for you.
You can't give them all out on the live. You got to come in and see us. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great night, and happy hunting.